Okay, hello everyone. Hello everyone that's joining us. We're waiting for the participants to come on here. Hi everyone. I'm here and Lynn Jericho's here, and thank you for joining us. We have people jumping onto the call. We're gonna just wait a few minutes. Well, not really a few minutes, just about a minute, and then we'll get started. Welcome everyone who's just joining us. And as you get on, you'll see the chat function. I just had someone say hello.
Oh, good.
If you can use that chat function there, you can say hello. Okay. So we'll just wait another minute or so here and as we get people joining us. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. People know the protocol. So I'll just say welcome to Inner Advent, Preparing Your Soul for the Holy Nights with Lynn Jericho. And I'm Laura Scappaticci from the Anthroposophical Society in America. Thank you for joining us. And everybody knows the protocol already. And if you don't know and you're on your computer, so we have some people calling in on the phone, but if you're on your computer, if you could use the little chat function and tell us where you're watching from. And so we have someone from the Philippines and Maine and Portland, Oregon, and Santa Cruz, Whidbey Islands, Coopville, Washington, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, Montreal, hello, Canadian friends, San Francisco, Amherst, Massachusetts, one of my favorite places, Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Who else is on the call? If you are just getting on, if you want to share in the chat function where you're calling us from, that'd be great. Okay, we have someone calling from Ottawa. And the chat, if you just kind of scroll over the directions at the bottom, there might be 3 little dots. You might be able to find the chat in there if you can't find it. And if not, you can use the Q&A too, that's fine. Okay, Kona, Hawaii, hello. San Diego, Ithaca, New York, Santa Fe. Hello, Santa Fe. So many places people are joining us from. And I think those numbers are just going to keep going up. Richelieu, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. That's near Montreal. Seattle, Washington. Another person from Ottawa. And this is, yes, it is really a worldwide event. We have people from all over the place on here. And I'll say that I think that has a lot to do with Lynn and your work. And so I'm just going to introduce Lynn. And you all can keep typing in where you're calling from. That'd be great. We've got Maryland on the call, and and a few other people joining right now too. So Lynn has been doing this work for 14 years, and we're going to talk about the work in a little bit. And it's people from all over the world get your inner Christmas messages and join in on your classes. And you have about 30 online classes, right? I mean, that's amazing. And you were one of the pioneering parents at the Princeton Waldorf School.
Yes.
That's in New Jersey.
A long time ago.
Long time ago. That's so great. Yeah, that's a beautiful school. And your two children consider themselves anthroposophists, which is that's amazing. I don't know.
It's incredible. Yeah. And it's a joy. Yeah.
That's really great. Okay, so I think we got lots of people on the call now, so why don't we get started? So I thought maybe we're going to talk more about your work throughout and especially at the end, but I thought I could ask you if you could just tell us how you came to this concept of inner Advent, inner Christmas. Can you tell us where that came from?
Yeah, it's, there was a destiny moment in 2004. I was living in Jersey City and went into Manhattan to look at the gorgeous decorated windows and get that New York Christmas energy, and went to Rockefeller Plaza, saw the tree, saw all the electric lights, and heard all the plugged in music. And I knew, because of all my years with Waldorf, that there was more to Christmas. There was the Holy Nights. And when I got home, I already had a mailing list of a couple of 100 people maybe close to 300. And I sat down and I wrote an email and I said, there's more to Christmas. There's just more. And I started describing the Holy Nights. And I shared how I often forgot in the middle of the Holy Nights, life would come in and take over because I wasn't committed enough. And so I offered to send everybody a reminder every day. And I pressed send and I thought, oh my God, I am spamming these people. And nobody complained. I then realized that if I was going to send a reminder, I could give them something to work on. And so the first thing that came up, because I was writing a book about it, which I've never finished, was the 12 senses. And so the first set of inner Christmas messages was all about the 12 senses. Every day, one of the senses to think about in direct relationship to yourself. Because for me, the Holy Nights are really about finding a new relationship to yourself, becoming more innocent and more wise about who you are. And it's taken off. I mean, I've gotten thank yous from people in Siberia, in Mongolia, in Argentina, Brazil, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, all over the world. And it's been a joy. The first year I wrote these messages, it was the longest 12 days of my life. What am I doing? And now it goes by too quickly. It's so rich for me, this experience. So yeah, it's really something. And then somebody said to me about the fourth year, somebody who was an anthroposophist and a lapsed Catholic, she said, Lynn, what about inner Advent? What about inner Lent? And that I was off and running. I knew there were inner festivals. I knew there was a new way to work with the festivals that was building the right relationship to self through the festivals, through the meaning of the festivals. So what about you, Laura? How did you find the inner Christmas messages?
Well, you know, I sort of had this similar experience of, I really did not like Christmas. And I had little children and my husband loved Christmas, and I just couldn't get over like all the materialism around it. That's all I could see. And I wasn't raised with, you know, any particular, you know, I wasn't raised with like festivals around it or anything religious. And so it really had no real meaning to me. And then I don't know exactly how, but I found the inner Christmas video that you have out, and I was like, yes, that's it. There's something, it's inside, there's an inside thing. And so now I just have so much of it, more of an appreciation of the dark and the light and the depths of this time of year. So thank you.
It's interesting about, I did that video in 2006. So that was long before YouTube. And it took forever. It took forever. And we finally sent it out on December 18th. I'd wanted to send it out December 1st. It didn't go out to December 18th. And by the December 31st, over 10,000 people had seen that video before YouTube.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, that just shows that there's
this year, maybe there's been another 30,000 views or something. So that's,
I mean, there's a yearning for that, and that's why we're so glad to have you here with us. So I think I'll just turn it over to you if you want to start talking. And I'm might have a couple little funny tech things going on here, but we'll just persist.
All right.
Okay, it's all
Doing
good.
the best we can.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not very strong internet connection on my end.
We'll be okay.
All right. So everyone, I have been an anthroposophist for 36 years now. And what I have found in anthroposophy is the most extraordinary path to self-knowledge. And so my work is called Imagine Self, because if we don't know ourselves, we can't really know anything else. It's just a head trip or an emotional attachment. But with anthroposophy, self-knowledge comes at a level that I often can't find words for. And I truly have come to believe that self-knowledge is the primal expression, the foundational expression of anthroposophy. And you can know Steiner, you can be reading, having study groups, etc. If you don't know yourself, it's not alive, it's not in you. And so my work has always been devoted to making it come alive. And I'm going to use these 4 gestures here and again with the, when I talk about the inner festivals. But self-knowledge leads to a direct, distinct, and discerned experience of the embodied self in space. That's physical, the enlivened self in time, the ensouled self in relativity, and the I am self in the absolute. So that's my little way of talking about the fourfold human being. And our task, it's our will, our consciousness that allows us to embody, enliven, and ensoul, so that who we are becomes just an experience that, one, equanimity, to this, the direct experience, the distinct experience, and the discerned experience of self in these 4 realms. So that's just giving you the sort of passionate perspective I hold in my work with anthroposophy and life. So our question tonight is why inner festivals and how Advent can be experienced as an inner festival. So we have traditional festivals, which are outer, collective, historical, from the past, usually connected. The collective, it's tribal, and they're all about the senses, and they have a lot of ritual. The personal festivals, the inner festivals, are inner. They're shaped inwardly. They're not formed outwardly, although they'll have outer gestures, just like traditional festivals certainly bring an inner experience. They're very individual. The whole purpose in my work is to encourage you to shape your path. And they're very much in the moment, who you are right here, right now, in relationship to the festival. They're cognitive. You're going to be thinking. It's about imagination and inspiration and intuition. And it's a practice rather than a ritual. And so it comes out of your will and into your whole consciousness. And I think this is really important to work through. Whatever I say, if it rings true, that's wonderful, but still challenge it. You need to do this yourself. This is inner work, and inner work is about who you are. It's not about taking on something. It's about letting my work suggest to you, guide you, but it doesn't dominate or dictate. It's a gift. So the inner year, we need to look at the inner year. It is so profound. So we can think of a yearly cycle of the Christian festivals and seasons. So a festival is generally a day, And a season is weeks. Lent and Advent are seasons of the soul. The festivals are, you know, what we do to celebrate the day or the season. And it's a path and a practice leading to profound self-knowledge. You're going to hear that a lot tonight. It results in the awakening of Christ consciousness in you through your efforts, not through some grace or miracle or because somebody said so. It's going to be coming out of you, this direct experience. You also working with the inner year and the rhythm of the inner year, and you come back to the same questions every year. So it leads to a deeper and deeper relationship between self and spirit and matter. And betweenness is where you want to be. It's the innocence and wisdom in betweenness is remarkable. And I really encourage you to start exploring your existence between. That's amazing. So festivals are about forming a right relationship with nature, with spirit, with tribe, and with self. It's shaped by the forces of nature, religion, economics, and self. This reflects the evolution of consciousness. Festivals came along with human existence, with this need to celebrate, to understand, to have a imaginative experience grounded by these practices, grounded by the shape of the inner year. And so at first, human consciousness lived in this sensory experience of nature. And then they started believing in the gods, powers greater than human. And then, you know, economics played a big part. And just what you heard Laura and me talking about in terms of the materialism of the festivals, I think we need to honor it. And it's part of the festivals. It's part of every aspect of our life. And then now, with real modern consciousness, we're shaping the festivals through our own initiative. And so we can see this whole journey throughout human civilization, moving more and more toward the self. And once Steiner, one of my all-time favorite quotes from Steiner, it's in his Higher Worlds, is you can only sacrifice that which you fully possess. So to become selfless, you first must be self-full and totally possess who you are. Again, this is the work I'm passionate about.
That's great. You know what, Lynn, I was just going to ask, I meant to ask this before, if anyone on the call has worked with the inner Christmas messages or inner Advent. I just thought we should get a sense of that. And I forgot to ask that before. Yeah. And so if you have or you haven't, if you want to just type that in and I'll take a look. Sorry.
I know.
I caught your cold.
Water too.
How did I catch your cold?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have Advent and inner Lent, and some people that haven't, they inner Christmas. Great. Okay. So there are some people that are familiar and some people that aren't familiar, and it is a really different way of looking at this time of year. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Very nice. Lots of people saying that they inner Christmas in particular. Good. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for letting me interrupt.
Okay, that's good. Anytime. So this was really interesting to look at what are the goals of inner festival work. So I'm going back to the fourfold human being. So we want to embody and stabilize our self-awareness. We want to enliven and organize our self-knowledge. We want to ensoul and design moral development. And we want to reveal and know the divine and the I am. So stabilizing. What soul doesn't need to be stabilized here in space and time? And when we come to know each other or ourselves, we need to be able to organize that sense of self, which is one of the great gifts Rudolf Steiner brought. His ability, this image of the fourfold human being. I use fourfoldness over and over again in this work. And it is just such a gift for self-knowledge. And then moral development is this capacity of the soul to design who you are becoming, to ask who you are and who you want to be and design the process. And that capacity to design moral development, not to obey, not to imitate, but to design out of who you are and who you're becoming is remarkable. And so these are the goals of the festival work. We work with the festivals to stabilize, organize, design, and to know.
Beautiful.
So an inner festival each year holds a goal of a new, deeper, higher, wider sense of self is seen through the lens of the festival. The lens of Michaelmas is very different from the lens of Advent. And that's why we need to see ourselves from so many different perspectives. Like Steiner said, if you want to get anywhere near the truth, you need to have 12 points of view. And it's very important work. And that's why, one of the reasons why each inner Christmas I have a theme, and you have 12 perspectives you're asked to consider on that theme. And so you develop a feeling for it, a capacity for it. So each year of inner festival practice brings a more direct personal experience of each festival. So you're becoming more yourself and more connected to the festival. My soul and the festival are but one. All right, my soul and the world are but one. So it's this same experience, which I have right here, the process of becoming one with the festival or becoming one with any aspect of existence. So there's perceiving, and it's what I consider in the inner festival work, the present realities of the self from the point of view of the festival. It's a perceiving. You separate out from the festival and yourself, and you perceive. You use that lens. Then at some point in your practice of inner festivals, you will begin to feel penetrated. It will really move into you with the meaning of you and the meaning of the festival. And the highest gesture is permeating or becoming one with the festival out of your own inner work. You might get glimpses of it. We're all a long way from this permeating experience, but we need to understand that first we perceive, then we penetrate, and then we permeate. And that's wisdom with whatever you're working with. So, questions?
Questions so far. Yeah. Anybody have any questions they want to ask so far? We're going to get into the inner Advent piece.
Yes.
Next. Yeah.
So that comes up.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything popping up right now. Okay.
All right. I'm not surprised. It's a lot to settle in, Okay. Advent. All right. The history, I imagine you all realize that Advent is not connected to the New Testament, yet it is an extremely wise gesture for this time of year. The church, the Catholic Church, wanted to keep people coming to church and away from their pagan lifestyles and rituals. So they filled every gap of the year. And they took this period between All Saints and Christmas and filled it with the Advent gesture. And originally it was 7 weeks long, not 4, which is kind of interesting to play with. Anyway, and of course the pagan roots are in the darkness of the year and the hope for the return of light. So the church was always taking the pagan practices and Christianizing them. So for me, the moods of Advent have this early experience of hope. Will the light return? Because remember, Advent in the Northern Hemisphere, it's light gets, darkness expands, darkness takes over light, and they want light to return. So the solstice experience. Then the anticipation of the coming of Christmas and the Nativity. Anticipation is a wonderful feeling. And we see it in children, of course, but let childlike anticipation rise up in you. Hope rises up in you, anticipation rises up in you. But the real importance for me is the preparation for the Holy Nights, that these weeks before the Holy Nights are about preparing for them. So traditionally, it's 4 Sundays. There's the wreath with the candles. And from a material standpoint, although we can work with wonderful images, and some of the Waldorf Advent calendars are just beautiful, I deal a lot with that in the audio I have, and we'll be sending you a link to. It's called A Beautiful Preparation. So the ways in which I learned to work with the wreath in a Waldorf, as a Waldorf parent, which I just loved it. And there's so many other ways to do it. So please take advantage of this audio, I'm sorry. Okay, now we're here. We're at Inner Advent. So it's about looking at your year. It's an inner Sabbath. It's just really attending to what is the year and to see it was good. No matter what happened, it was good. It was karmic. It was filled with destiny. You were given experiences that are good for you in terms of destiny. It's not about being nice. It's not about having everything be happy. It's about goodness. So the big question is, who was I at the last solstice, at the last Christmas, during the last Holy Nights? And what in this year has shaped my inner life? How did I develop? So you're asked to wonder. This consciousness of wondering is so important. And I'll be really exploring that these Holy Nights, because wonder is the theme for the Holy Nights, for the Inner Christmas messages this year. So this path to self-knowledge is about recollecting your inner year, reviewing your inner year, releasing your inner year, and exploring both the outer context and the inner content. So what was going on around you that impacted your inner life? And out of that impact, what occurred? And what was born in you that is new, really new? We all think, I couldn't believe it when I read this, but the research shows that the average human being thinks 70,000 thoughts a day. How many of those thoughts are new and not things you've thought before or things you're told to think? What has risen up in you? So when you think of the year, what new feelings, what new deeds? There's so much there. So these are the key elements to recollect. And I forget where I read, it was just this year, I was reading somebody who referred to Newtonian investigation and Goethean appreciation. And I realized with Inner Advent that the recollection is a Newtonian investigation. It's going back through your year and seeking out what was new, what evolved, what happened. And then the review comes from a Goethean appreciation. And for those of you who have done work with Goethe and the way in which he observed and related, it's, excuse me, this Newtonian and Goethean relationship is wonderful. And then release. Release is dying to your story. Inner work needs to observe your story, but if you identify with your story, if you stay attached to it, you can't change. There's no freedom. There's no possibility of newness, of real epiphany. And so this dying to story is something that's challenging, but essential. And again, through the practice, you learn to let go. Initially, it's just a symbolic releasing, but then it starts entering into your consciousness. And when you die to your story, you're ready for the holy nights. The spiritual world can't penetrate your attachment to your story in space and time. It can only interact with your soul life, with your consciousness that's free, that's open. So this process is very important. The releasing is very important. And you begin it and symbolically, and it becomes so real. It stops being a metaphor. It starts being a real inner experience. And the holy nights are waiting for you. So this preparation for the holy nights, it returns you to innocence. A baby doesn't have a story. It has karma, it has destiny, but it doesn't have a story. So that's a really important thing, this return to the innocence, to be like the shepherds. Then you detach from your story, you let it go, you recognize your inner development. That's wisdom coming. And as I said, you connect with your angel. It's an extraordinarily significant connecting with your angel. Your angel is right there with you as you do the holy nights. I mean, Inner Advent. Sorry, guys. All right, holy nights, they're definitely out of ordinary time. It's just trusting that process, and you need to stay with it the whole 12 nights. I do 14 messages, so it's Christmas Eve, and then so Christmas Eve, the message is the gate opening into the spiritual world. That attention and imagination comes alive. And then you get this 12 experiences of new understanding of self. And then there is the epiphany, which is the closing of the gate to this out of ordinary time. And you re-enter your life. So like to know if there are any questions now.
And then we're going to have you, everybody on the line, we're going to offer you some things to think about and
There's
share.
still some more first.
Yeah.
I'm going to share some ideas of what to do with Inner Advent. How are we
Yeah.
doing with time, Laura?
We're doing fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So no questions?
I think we can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So your inner year, the context and your soul's contents. So this process is really so important. So the first gesture is, how are you going to create your form for your recollecting? So you can write it. Your recollection process can be writing, or it can be artistic. I like to work with a mandala form, and it's divided in 4 quarters. So it's the 4 seasons, or there are lots of ways to work with them. The second gesture, and you can do this on the Sundays, but you don't have to. All right. So we've got the second gesture is recollecting, then you review, and then you release. So you can do it over 4 weeks. You can do it over a couple of days. You can do it over a few hours. It's up to you in the way you want to manage your Advent attention. So the first thing after you decide your artistic form is to look at the context of the year. So there are world events. This year, it's been extraordinary. We can list numerous world events. There's experiences in nature. So you could make that a world event, work with climate change, or it could be as simple as remembering that walk you took where a hawk flew into a tree and you connected with it. And it impacts your appreciation of nature. Or it could be something where nature scares you or harms you, like the hurricanes and the fires that we've experienced. So nature, you want to look at all aspects, but the big question is, how did this impact my soul? Cultural life, what books did you read? What movies did you see? What symphonies did you hear? The cultural life is rich with impact. Your health, how is your health? What happened? Did you sprain an ankle? Did your husband get diagnosed with cancer? I mean, the context of health is huge in impacting your soul. Money. Who doesn't have this sense that at any point money can impact their soul life? How much anxiety do you have over money? So noting that. Relationships. Did you fall in love? Did you lose a friend? What's happened in all the relationships with your children, with your friends, with your parents, your colleagues? What went on? Place and space. What is it like in your home? How do you relate to it? What happened? What changed? Or what just makes it difficult for you to be calm and feel relaxed? Work. How was work this year? How did it impact you? Did you feel that you made a contribution? Were you thwarted from making a contribution? So these are the contexts that, for me, I sort of use Post-its. I use Post-its all the time with my inner year work, with the Advent mandala. So I put Post-its all around the mandala based on the seasons. And it's fascinating to see what builds up there. So I wanted to ask you to take a few minutes and write down one or two events, experiences around these contexts, the outer contexts that impact your soul life.
That's great. And so you can type those if you want us to share them, type them into the chat. If you don't want us to share them, don't type them into the chat. But I wanted to say, I did Inner Advent, and it is really a profound way to review the year. I mean, I think you said it's like the Rookshaw. So it's this,
Yeah.
it's the daily review, but it's the year in review, and looking at it in all these different ways. I mean, we ran through the slides yesterday and I've been thinking about these ever since then, and I'm sure everybody's going to be doing that too.
Yeah.
But you actually have a mandala, right? That we could, that you can get, and then you can use the Post-its, and so you would look at, let me make sure I understand, and then everyone feel free to type in anything they want to the chat. You would look at, for example, last winter and the events of last winter, nature, health, finances, and then you would go to spring, and then you would go
Or
to,
you can go backwards.
oh yeah, right, you're going to
All
go
right,
backwards. So you
goes
start at fall. Yes.
You can
Okay.
do the year. So you begin with what
Gotcha.
just happened, and so you get to see the relationships. It doesn't matter. Do it any way that feels right to you.
Right. But the Rookshaws, that's good. Thank you for
It's
clarifying that.
the unwinding of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to see. Yeah, I want people to know that they will get the slides too. Someone's asking. You will get the slides for this too, so you can work on this, and then you can also get to Lynn's work. I think people are shy. Everybody's being a little shy about sharing. I mean, and that's because it's such deep work, I think.
It's deep work.
Yeah. The other thing that I think affected me from talking with you yesterday actually was, what new thoughts have you had
That's the
in the
next.
year, right? Oh, that's coming next. I see.
Yes.
Sorry,
Now,
everyone. I jumped the
so
gun.
on Inner Advent,
Oh, that's right.
the original Inner Advent, which I created in 2009, was through the light of the year. So I ask you, and this is where working with the mandala, because of the way it's designed, to make note of new thoughts. And this is in the review, you look for what new truth did you discover? Mm-hmm. And when you start looking at this, it really starts showing up. That's where your angel whispers in your ear. When you go, I don't see any truth. Your angel will say, yes, mm-hmm. You did. But what about this moment? And don't look for big things. It's little tiny baby steps. So you look at new feelings of beauty and harmony. Mm. All right. What beauty? Not that you perceived in the world, but that you experienced in yourself. Did you have a new sense of your feeling life? It's not that, what equanimity is beautiful. Hmm. A minute of equanimity is, lights you up.
Yeah.
So, and deeds of goodness, that we're really unselfish, full of self, but not selfish. And then you look for your steps in moral development, which are about new freedom and new love. And that's the light of the year. And that's the original Inner Advent. And it's what I find challenging, God, we love our stories. And biography work really helps you see your life unfolding, not as a story, but as the resolving of karma and the fulfillment of destiny. You start seeing why things happen. So you start waking up to your consciousness. You start doing what's Steiner asked us to do is to begin to separate our thinking, feeling, and willing. And it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And looking for how you evolve, what is new about you. That's scary. We all want to be familiar with the abyss experience. You lose your story. There's nothing to relate to in space and time. And your consciousness has no boundaries in the abyss. And then it's the I. What, Laura?
Well, I was going to say, I think, we did have somebody share that they've had a very painful year. And I think that the next
one, yes,
slide will pertain to that. And then I have another question for you after this.
Okay.
So.
All right. So just last year, I created a second Inner Advent course, which is on the darkness of the year. And it's about your sorrows, your sufferings, your shadows. And it wakes you up. Again, it frees you from your story. And it's not that I'm asking you not to have your emotions. It's helping you have your emotions in a sound. So I talked about stabilizing, and you start moving out of chaos into a more enlivened, organized experience of the darkness. We all have our sorrows. We all have our sufferings. We all have our shadows. And so you become more objective about yourself, more forgiving of your karma and your destiny, and far more compassionate for who you are and who you're becoming. So that's the darkness. And facing difficulties with equanimity and separating the story of victimhood from the karmic purpose of your difficulties. So
this is really resonating with people. People are typing in here and saying they're doing work that showed up, something that happened many, many years ago, and now it's showing up again. And so that's really great.
Good.
I don't want to lose this. I did have somebody ask if you could show the mandala. Do you have a laptop?
Well, yes, it's down. I have a slide of the mandala.
Okay,
so
that's
we'll
great.
Get to it at the end.
But it is hanging on your wall.
You can. I have one.
Yeah, over there.
That's one that's about intentions, challenges, and fulfillments.
Yeah, you can see
that's setting my goals for the year and building them up. But the mandala image is wonderful.
And those Post-its you put on there, again, it's without judgment. So there might be pain and darkness, and you're doing that without judgment.
The mandalas are not about a pretty picture.
Right.
The inner year is not about a pretty picture. We didn't come here to lie on the beach. I mean, all the lessons. I don't learn lessons having a good time. I learn lessons going into the darkness.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
I've been there. So other possible lenses for Inner Advent. You can take a meditation, a verse by Steiner, and just go backwards through the year, seeing how it manifested or where it didn't show up. So any verse is just wonderful to work with in reviewing your year. Then you can recollect how the emotions appeared in your year. Work with 4 basic emotions. Do a mandala that has a quadrant for anger, a quadrant for happiness, one for fear, one for sadness. You also learn a lot about your temperament in doing this work. And collect it. I mean, one of the things with the mandala is you can put it up. I have the Inner Advent one on a closet door in my bedroom. I have the one here on my goals for the year, or the fulfilling of what I feel is my destiny, and they're great. So you can create a mandala with these 4 emotions and use Post-its to work with them, see where it comes. So there's lots of ways. And then one that's really challenging but very valuable is to work through 4 types of relationship: friend, enemy, lover, colleague. And you learn a lot about your social self. You learn a lot about boundaries. You learn a lot about intimacy. So, I mean, I want to jump in and create inner Advent courses for all of these.
Well, yeah, and that one, that's really interesting. They're all I'm sort of doing it in my head as this happens to me.
Oh, yeah.
Or doing it in my head while we're talking. Okay, that's great.
They're really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to urge you that the inner Advent gesture is recollecting the investigation, reviewing the appreciation, releasing the death of the story. I copy all my work that I put up on the mandala, and then I take the original and burn it. That's the release. That's the symbolic release. It involves celebration and it involves mourning. Letting go is a celebration and it's a mourning. Do not be afraid to grieve your year. So you will find that with this work, you develop the capacity to empty your soul of judgments and desires, but not of moral ambition.
Someone said, I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that the inner Advent work will do is it will change your experience of your inner year. It starts shaping how you record. Your journaling will take on a new consciousness. It is also profoundly incarnating. Our job is to incarnate, to recollect and review in a rhythm. Do it daily, do it weekly, do it seasonally, from a consciousness perspective rather than a story. And you will find with this work, you will start asking yourself different questions. You will wonder with a new strength. Your wondering will not be wandering. It will be a gathering of consciousness.
Great.
So now we're there.
Wow, thank you. I'm sure everyone's in like a certain mood right now, having just touched on this for a moment. I can feel the effect of it. So if anyone has questions or comments, we have a couple people just sharing a little bit, and I'll share some of the things that they're saying, that they felt like they're cocooning rather than hibernating. And it's a good feeling, even, and they can feel the change. They know the change within is big, but it's a cocoon time.
Yes.
That's lovely. And someone else saying they feel their inner artist emerging as their inner child heals. Wow, that's interesting. And they're feeling open to receiving new things: money, health, love, relationships. Another person, this is so beautiful. They're wanting to learn to ask questions rather than make statements.
Yes. That's a
big learning.
Yeah.
Bravo.
And when you see that when you do the mandala, it brings an imagination of lots of questions, but when you step back from it and see your year, certain things fall into place, that enlivening, that organization. So it's really the stabilizing, organizing, and designing process really strengthens that.
That's great. Well, someone said that while you're talking, they find themselves drawing these little simple symbols from the conversation, and that's helping them sort of clarify it. And and I know you said people can do this on their own, but it's nice that you have the guides for the Holy Nights and for this. Oh yeah, somebody's saying, how do you do the mandala? Do you want to show that slide or
yes. So this is the support that I offer. So I have the free course, which is just an hour on Advent, and then I have these 2 inner Advent courses. So I've told you a bit about those, and there is the inner year mandala, and it's it's a little pixelated, but and it's up on Zazzle. I'll give you the link when we send you the replay, and you can order it. Zazzle has sales all the time, but I forget what the price is to have this done. And it's beautiful. It's on gorgeous, heavy stock white paper. The colors, that's my inner year circle in the middle.
Lovely.
And you can, like the one for setting your goals for the coming year, in the middle, if you want to change your financial life, you can put that in the center, or you can put a verse or a meditation in the center. You can put wherever you want to go, and then you just, these mandala images are so powerful. And great. I'm just using them in a modern way to build the consciousness of self.
Well, thank you. We're getting close to closing here, and all of these slides will be sent to you. Inner Christmas is where I started, and those messages were really helpful for me. And you get them every day in your inbox. Oh, and there's a book.
This is the first set. This is 4 years worth of Inner Christmas messages, the first 4 years. So this is just the proof copy. It's all there.
Congratulations.
So it's exciting.
So I guess I just want to ask if anybody does have any more questions right now. And, just want to wish everybody a beautiful Advent time and this important reflective time of the year. It's so amazing. And you will talk to people one-on-one too, right?
Oh yes, I do a lot of one-on-one spiritual mentoring. And
okay, that's great. I know the biography folks too. Someone is saying thank you. It's such a lovely gift to begin the season this way.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. Laura, thank you for asking me. And I discovered a lot. It was wonderful to have the opportunity to look at this and share it.
That's so great. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'm so glad you joined us. Just a couple more people saying thank you, and that they're gathering friends to do this together and share. And I hope we make it onto your mandala, the webinar. Right up there.
All right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, saying thank you so much. And thanks for being on here. And everyone will get the slides and the recording. And thanks for the inspiration. And yes, and if you want the inner Christmas messages, you do have to sign up separately. You will not get those. You have to go to Imagine Self to do that.
We'll send you
the link. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll get that. Okay. People are saying thank you to you. So many things.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Thanks everybody for being here. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.